Hi everyone, Dr. Fiona King here. I hope you're well. This video is called What Shall I Choose for my assignment task 1 topic? At the moment, we are thinking very strongly about this particular assignment. It's week 5 and it's just before the Easter break, and then remember we have the split week following that. So I'll see the Thursday class and then I'll see the Monday class. All right, so this week and over Easter, just in the back of your mind, have a little think about what will be your topic for assignment task 1. Remember, assignment task 1 is a unit of inquiry. It has 6 lessons, which is 6 different phases of inquiry. Okay, so when we're choosing a topic, we're going to be thinking either a history topic or a geography topic, remembering that we're in the humanities, and yes, we do cover 4 areas, but our key focus has been history and geography over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So we're going to use that information and use that learning and apply it to our assignment. So before we actually choose a topic, I'd like to discuss how I'd like you to please present the title. And I know you might think, well, Fiona, does it really matter? It's only a title, but it actually matters quite a lot. In inquiry units, remember, inquiry is all about questioning. So I'm going to ask you to please pose the title of your unit plan as a question. All right, so it's a guiding question. It's an overarching question. It's a question that you as a teacher and the students can return to throughout the 6 weeks, remembering that we're planning for 1 inquiry lesson for each week, imagining that it's over 6 weeks. And so we have that in-depth and sequential learning happening over those 6 weeks. So I've got some sample questions here, and I know it's always useful to hear sample questions. Please know that they are only sample questions. I've randomly drawn them out of a list of questions that have been used or actually similar. They're not identical to what have been used in the past, however, they're similar. So this gives you an idea. You don't have to have your question as one of these, and it can be something quite different. Remembering that history and geography, when you have a look in the curriculum, and I know you have been, go to the curriculum and find a place in there that really resonates with you, perhaps something that you can understand in your mind as something that can be extended out over that 6-week period. So here are some questions. I hope you like them, and I'll talk a little bit about each of them. There are actually 9 questions here. So here we go. How has our daily lives changed over 50 years? So obviously this is a history question, and it's a title of an inquiry unit. So the overarching title is a question. Again, this is something I'm asking you to please think about how you frame the title of your inquiry unit plan for assignment task 1. So how has our daily lives changed over 50 years? So you can imagine that children at the beginning of that unit with this title, that they're going to remember tuning in, so engagement strategies, seeking prior knowledge. What do they know already about life in the past in Australia over that 50-year period? And this would be probably in maybe year 1 or year 2, and so because that's where it would fit in the curriculum. So we can unpack that over a series of weeks, right? And that's what makes a good title, a question that we can keep returning back to over the weeks. You don't have to necessarily put that into your unit plan, the teacher returning to the topic, or you might. It might be something that you return to at the very end of the unit plan, where children have gone through those 6 weeks. So that's those 1 lesson each week, 1 phase of the inquiry. The inquiry model, trying to get the words out. So remember, there's 6 phases of the inquiry-based learning model that we're using. So after the 6 weeks, they're at the final stage, which is taking action, and that's regarding, again, it'll all relate to this overarching question. So next question is, what were the impacts of colonisation on the first peoples of Australia? Again, another history question, possibly year 4, maybe year 5, depending on where you're finding that in the curriculum. And again, thinking about how do we how do we tune students in? What the finding out, maybe the finding out, which is the second lesson, perhaps there's going to be an excursion, or perhaps there's going to be a really important short video where they might take notes about it. And then they start going further in their own ideas about it. So perhaps they're really interested in what colonies were like, and who was doing what, and how they might be interested in the initial stages or later on. And so we need to provide children with that opportunity to research an area of the question that they're really interested in. Here's an interesting one, number 3. Who is important to me? Okay, so one that's got to do with family and friends and community. And again, this one is centered in in Foundation 1 or 2. How are people connected to different places? This is quite a fantastic overarching question, because you can then decide within that which year level you're going to work with that one, and which area of the curriculum. So again, this is actually a geography one. So how are people connected to different places? Now, this may have to do with a local community, might have to do with somewhere in Australia, 3 and 4. It might have something to do with international in a country overseas. It might be a comparison. Lots of scope there for children to explore and do their own research. Here's the 5th question, and remember, these are just sample questions. Who has migrated to Australia in history, and what was it like for them? So this is a kind of a 2-part question, isn't it? It's about migration in Australia, year 5, year 6, and what was it like for those people? So the finding out stage, which is of course the 3rd phase in the inquiry model or cycle, going further, that might, or even finding out, that might be a trip to the Immigration Museum. Lots of ideas for sharing there and for finding out people's stories. Next question, the impact of deforestation. Where have all the forests gone? Geography question. We can be thinking about Australia, we can be thinking outside of Australia, we can do some comparisons, might focus on the Amazon, lots of ideas there, and there is a sustainability element there. That's a geography topic. Here's another sample question. How is the natural environment affected by human actions? Geography again. We're thinking about geography concepts of change, sustainability. We're also thinking about environment. So they can focus. So this might be one where children are interested in researching different places within Australia. And we're thinking about impact, and we're thinking about place, thinking about space, lots of geographical concepts there. So you can hear how that's quite overarching, and yet it's a driving question. So as a teacher, we can return to it through the inquiry process. So how are we going with this topic? How is the natural environment affected by human actions? And it might be that people are focusing on air pollution. They might be focusing on deforestation and so on. Another question: how does vegetation in Australia differ to other countries? Okay, so vegetation. What are we thinking about there? We're thinking about geography. So geographical concepts. Vegetation, we might think of, and again, you can hear that there's scope for children to explore different ideas within what type of vegetation. It might be rainforest, it might be desert, and comparing that to other countries. And last sample question that I drew out for you: what can we learn about the seasons from people and from places? This is an earlier years one. And thinking also about the differences there between Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander seasons, identification of seasons, and how place and animals within the place and creatures demonstrate the change of seasons in the way they behave or their different patterns, and also and comparing that to ideas from the West. spring, summer, autumn, winter, and so on. So there's a comparison there. There's an exploration there about people, place, and it's focused on the seasons. So once again, I hope this has been helpful. I know sample questions can be useful for you. The 2 takeaways from this video would be to please frame your question frame your title as a question, an overarching question to guide your unit of inquiry. And the second takeaway is thinking of a question that relates to either history or geography and connecting it into the curriculum in some way. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you after Easter. Take care. And remember, I've got Thursday classes in our next week back because Monday's a public holiday. And then the week after that, I've just got the Monday class. And then the week after that, I'll have everybody back to normal classes. Thanks, everyone. Well done on all your self-paced work.